Hi, my name is Arunima Mitra, and today I'll be talking about my output and data collected from the Explainable AI hackathon using the fold R++ algorithms. So here is my code for the following data sets. I used the following three data sets. I used a diabetes data set linked over here. I used an employee retention data set, and I used an entrepreneurship data set. So after running and creating models for each of these data sets, I can go ahead and show you the outputs. So starting with the diabetes data set, over here you see that the following factors were attributes were in the diabetes data set, with the outcome being our final label. So going into the output for this one, we see that it had an accuracy of about 73%, and it generated the following rule set. Here you see that glucose, pregnancies, BMI were the most important factors. And then later on, you see blood pressure and a few others. This makes sense when you think about it logically, because your glucose levels, your BMI, as well as your number of pregnancies you've gone through, or if you've gone through any, it makes sense that these would be the most common factors in determining whether somebody's diabetic or not. So I believe that on this data set, the algorithm was able to clearly determine the rules or the important attributes. Moving on to the next data set, I used the employee data set. So this one is basically a data set that talks about employee retention. So it takes in the education, the year they joined, what level of payment are they on, their age, et cetera, to determine whether they're likely to leave the company in 2 years or not. So here, if we look at the output for the employee data set, we see that it has a higher accuracy of 85%. However, when you look at the actual rule set, you see that it generated a lot of facts and barely any rules. I think what might have happened here is that it tried to overfit to the training data, and so it wasn't able to clearly determine what the main factors are in determining whether somebody leaves or not. So here you see that almost the most important thing seems to be the age, as it shows up a lot of times, sometimes city, gender, but it wasn't able to clearly determine what facts or what features are the most important. Lastly, we look at the entrepreneurship data set. So here, these are the following values or traits for the entrepreneurship. So you see that their education sector, whether they have individual projects, their age, gender, city, et cetera, come into play. And then at the end of it, you see whether they're an entrepreneur or not. So going back to the output for this data set, we see that the entrepreneurship data set had a high-ish accuracy of 81%. And it also had a similar problem to the employee data set, where it generated only one rule and had a lot of facts, which again tells me that it wasn't able to clearly determine what factors are the most important in determining entrepreneurship. And so it tried its best to generate a rule set that encompasses whatever the training data was trying to say. So in this case, you see that competitiveness, desire to take initiative, all of it kind of came up multiple times, but competitiveness seemed to be the most important feature. So that one is what I would say. It makes sense, but it is not as clearly shown as it could be, like it was with the diabetes data set. So I thought that was really interesting. And I believe a lot of this happened because the data sets were not cleaned thoroughly. And I don't necessarily know, these aren't very clear-cut qualifiers. So it makes sense that there's not a very clear-cut reason as to what attribute makes more sense for an employee or the entrepreneurship. These are very abstract metrics. So it makes sense that the algorithm had a bit of trouble trying to generate a rule set. But this is my submission for the Explainable AI hackathon. I hope you had a great day. Thank you.